My name is Scott Blackman. I'm the CEO of the United States Olympic Committee. Please be seated. The IOC is a pretty serious group. They have their own anthem, as you can see, and they like us to play it first. So it's just so great to have you all here this morning to celebrate and honor Derek Miles. I'd like to welcome U.S. Senator John Thune, USA Track and Field's Chief of Sport Performance, Duffy Mahoney, and of course our guest of honor, Derek Miles. Senator Thune, thank you for hosting us in your great state of South Dakota. It's an honor to be here with you, paying tribute to one of South Dakota's world-class athletes. Derek embodies everything that the Olympic movement stands for. As a student athlete here at the University of South Dakota, he was a 5-time All-American in the pole vault. He went on to become one of the best pole vaulters in the world for more than a decade, competing in 3 Olympic Games and 6 World Championships. He traveled the world representing the university, the state of South Dakota, and our country as a proud member of Team USA. He was and he continues to be an ambassador for the values and ideals of the Olympic movement. Today, he's currently in his 14th season as an assistant coach for the Coyotes track and field team, and it's in this role that he's used his experience and his knowledge to inspire and elevate the next generation of great American athletes. He's dedicated his post-Olympic career to spreading the Olympic ideals and sharing the Olympic dream with countless young people. Derek should have received this Olympic medal 9 years ago. He should have stood on the medal stand in Beijing alongside his fellow medalists. And while we can't go back to the 2008 Olympic Games, we can right that wrong today, and we can work tirelessly within the global Olympic movement to reform the current anti-doping system. We will continue to embrace that opportunity to take the necessary steps to make the global anti-doping regime independent, robust, and respected by fans and athletes alike. At the USOC, the integrity of sport is one of our highest priorities, and athletes like Derek deserve a level playing field, not years after the competition ends, but each and every day when they take the field of play. The USOC will continue to help lead the effort toward an effective anti-doping system. Derek, thank you for upholding and spreading the Olympic values. Thank you for your integrity and your commitment to clean sport. We are honored to celebrate you today and to award you with the Olympic bronze medal. I'm pleased to welcome Duffy Mahoney to the podium from USA Track and Field.
Thank you, Scott. Representing USA Track and Field, I'm very proud and delighted to be here to represent USOC, Scott Blackman, and Senator Thune in recognizing Derek's accomplishment, unfortunately, 9 years ago. Derek is, without a doubt, to me, a class act, has always been, and a fun guy to be around. I go back a long, long time, and Derek's been there every step of the way. So quickly to recount, what Scott mentioned, a great career. But let's put it in a little bit of statistical perspective. Derek was ranked top 10 U.S. for 13 straight years, beginning in 2000. In 2008, 2009, and 2010, he was top-ranked American. On the world level, he was third-ranked in the world in 2008, 5th in 2009, and 4th in 2010. He has jumped nearly as high as the American record many, many times. He was an unbelievably consistent performer, and for those of you who are track geeks, his technique, which was a little bit more modeled on the Russian technique of jumping into the box, was at one time thought to be revolutionary. Derek convinced the world that it was just the way we should be jumping. Now, to cap the story, is in 2008, Derek was the winner of the U.S. Olympic trials, arguably the best and most competitive track and field meet in the world, even though it was our U.S. Olympic trials. He also won the World Athletics final later that year. And of course, now he is going to be awarded, rightfully so, the bronze medal. It's a long overdue award, and on behalf of USA Track and Field, our athletes, coaches, and all of our people who make up a great organization that is USA Track and Field, my sincere congratulations to Derek, and on a job well done.
Thank you, Duffy. And now I'm very pleased to introduce U.S. Senator John Thune, who is a great champion of the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic movement. Senator, thank you for being here today and for your support of America's Olympic team.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Duffy. And Director Herbster, where are you? My twin, look at us there. If I had an extra 5 or 6 inches like that, I'd be playing in the NBA right now, but no. It's great to be here. Thank you for this wonderful crowd to turn out for this celebration, this event. It's really a very special day, and I was listening to the litany of the statistics that Scott and Duffy were reading off about Derek, and what a remarkable record. I mean, this guy you were a stud for a long time as a student. And I remember, you know, I look at this crowd too, and I see a lot of the young people here are competing in track and field for the Coyotes, and all the boosters here today, and you know, everybody here knows Derek Miles by the name and the title coach. Now you're going to know him by the title Olympic bronze medalist, and that's a pretty cool thing. But I remember last fall reading the story and the reporting on it and thinking to myself, boy, that really stinks, you know, and how are we going to right this wrong? And then earlier this year in the Senate, I was actually preparing to meet with Michael Phelps, who was in town to testify on anti-doping in the Olympics. And I was talking to my staff about it, and I said, you know, we have a real-life example of this in South Dakota. You know, we have a pole vaulter who is the bronze medalist, and you know, isn't going to be able to get that medal, or at least we don't know when he's going to be able to get that medal that he's earned. And so they went to work on it and started working with the good help of Scott and his team at the U.S. Olympic Committee and the IOC, and were able to secure the bronze medal that we're able to present today. But it's a really special thing, and what an honor for Derek, incredibly accomplished athlete, 3-time Olympian, and for his family and friends who are here today to be able to give him what he rightly deserves and has worked so hard to earn, and that's the Olympic bronze medal. And so I'm just very, very proud to be a part of this moment, Derek, and to be able to follow you in your career. I've watched you as an athlete, and I've watched you as you've coached these young men and women here at the University of South Dakota, and the remarkable success that they've had, and a clear testimony to how you've been able to impart not only the skills and the talents that are necessary to succeed and excel in this sport, but also the kinds of values that are so important in life. And it's the Olympic movement, the Olympic team, and the clean sports, all that benefit from that. And so we're grateful for all that you have done and continue to do to build on not only your own personal success, but the success of so many of those around you. That's really a testament to whether somebody is a difference maker and have an impact. So I think we're going to have the medal brought up here, and we get to hear from Derek. Okay, first, yeah, that'd be really good if we hear from the Olympic medalist himself. So, Derek, before we do that, I'm going to hand off the microphone to you. So, please come forward.
So, as the only person to get a C in my freshman year speech class, everybody else got A's and B's. This is pretty much the scariest thing I've ever done, following these polished speakers. But, you know, I do want to kind of say just a couple things, and I promise I'll be brief. You know, to start with, when I first envisioned this, I thought maybe 4 or 5 people would show up. 90% of them would be my wife's family. There's quite a few of them, and I'm thankful for that. But I thought maybe a few people will show up, and we can just say hi and thanks, and then we'll just go down to Carrie's and have a celebratory drink. Not my athletes, but you know. But I mean, obviously, this turnout is amazing. It's truly special for me, and I appreciate everybody being here. You know, we were traveling through the airport yesterday, and I happened to walk by a store of some sort, and I saw a sign in there, and it was a quote. And usually I'm not much for pondering kind of deep thoughts here. I'm kind of a track coach at heart. So, but it was from Mark Twain, and it said, the 2 most important days in your life are when you're born and when you figure out why. And So the first part, I think I got that one licked. I worked pretty hard at that one, but 9 months later I got that figured out and checked that off the list. But you know, the second part, I'm pretty sure I'm not sure I'll ever figure that out, the why. But I just started thinking about kind of what was going to happen today is when we were in our 5-hour layover. I thought, well, maybe, you know, how does all this relate to the why? And at some point, I don't really, this doesn't really have anything to do with the why, but I think it might be like a 2x4 in the house of why. You know what I mean? You might have some idea that maybe this is important in some way, but why, maybe down the road it'll kind of present itself. And I think as I thought about it and I walked around a little bit, I think it kind of started to come to me in the terms of not necessarily the why, but the how I got there. And maybe that's important to the why. And so when I thought about how I got to this spot, I kind of started thinking, wow, I just got really lucky with everything. You know what I mean? I got kind of lucky that the high jumpers that day at practice were supposed to do a running workout. And they said, well, if you want to ditch the running workout and go learn the pole vault, you can go do that. I'm like, oh, shoot, I'll head that way. And so, maybe I was lucky that we even had pole vault facilities. I mean, it was an old conveyor belt on the ground in an old pole vault pit. And the facilities were, you know, certainly pretty shoddy. But maybe we're just fortunate to have it. Maybe I was just lucky that we even did it. I was lucky to have an Air Force guy that came over once a week to try to teach us a little bit. He was a pole vaulter in college. Lucky that USD took an interest in me. Lucky that my parents kind of wanted to kick me out of California and experience something different. You know, the coaching staff that was here that recruited me and spent time with me, obviously lucky to have fallen into those guys. And even my first job here as an academic advisor under Lucky, certainly I thought, wow, shoot, I'm just lucky I got that job so I can stick around and train a little bit. You know, and it just kept going. The opportunity to go down to Jonesboro, Arkansas and spend time with Earl Bell and those other Olympians, and the opportunity to come back and coach here and be able to train and finish my career out while I coached. And I just kept thinking about, man, I am just like the luckiest guy in the world that all these cards kind of fell into place. And then right as I was getting on the plane, I think it kind of hit me. And it had nothing to do with luck. It had to do with just surrounding myself. And maybe the luck was I found the right spot, but surrounding myself with just amazing people. And to me, that's the thing that it's all about. Any Olympian, anybody that's had any success in life is surrounded by amazing people. And 95% of the reason I have had any success in this sport is from the people in this room, the state, you know, and there's a whole laundry list, and I'm sure I'm going to miss them, so I hate to list them. But, you know, my parents for giving me passion, I think that was a big part. I was lucky to have great parents. You know, my wife for her unyielding support. God, every time I talk about her, I get nailed. Coach Lucky, he's just about as bad as my wife, but he's been with me since '91. And, you know, the guy just never quit. Even Coach Gotts, who recruited some skinny little 14'6" kid out of high school. That was terrible, but I don't know why he called. But, you know, but all of my family here today, truly amazing people. USD, President Abbott, David Herbster, entire administrative staff. Earl Bell, my coach down in Arkansas, and our training partners, my friends, my fellow Olympians, other athletes that I trained with and competed with. You know, obviously, Mr. Blackman and USOC and Duffy at USA Track and Field, and, you know, obviously Senator Thune, who, you know, is probably just a perfect example of what you get when you come to an area that have amazing people. And it just never stops. Every time you turn a corner, there's someone there that's going to help you, you know, whether it's your track coach or your senator or your representative bodies or your family or your friends or your coaches. It's just, you know, truly fortunate to have fallen into this place. And you guys are probably stuck with me. I'm not sure I'll ever leave. So certainly appreciate everybody's turnout. I appreciate everybody's support. You know, Mr. Blackman is right. I should have just got the medal on the darn day. I should have beat the guy. I was jumping well enough to, it just wasn't that day. So, but sincerely appreciative of everybody to have this opportunity to have this medal. And thank you very much. Go Yotes.
This is the fun part. Senator Thune, if you would.
Very cool. Thank you very much.
That's it.